Hello folks, welcome back to another lockdown live stream. It has been a few days. I've been away for a few days, but worry not. I've returned as a champion. It was all worth it. It was all for this. All for this tiny little Champions League trophy that I may or may not have already owned. But this is where I've been the last 2 nights, playing in the Football Manager Streamer Showdown over on Twitch. And I won it! I won the whole thing! Yay! There you go. It was worth me missing 2 of these lockdown live streams. I hope everyone had a good weekend. It feels weird to have not sat on here and chatted to you for a few days. I've got so used to this being part of my evening routine now. It was certainly very odd being over on Twitch earlier in the evening. I am there again later in the evening today. But like I said, well worth it for victory. Can I call myself the Football Manager World Champion? I can't because it wasn't a World Championship. But I might, because who's going to stop me from referring to myself as the World Champion? Yes. Excellent. I need to try and get some perspective with the camera to try and make it look like it's a... I need tiny hands so that I can hold it up and make it look like it's not that size. We'll figure something out. How are we all anyway? Is everybody good? Have we all had a good weekend? I hope you have. I have, as you can see by the little trophy. I had a very good weekend. Ideal to put a shot in. It would be if it was. I mean, it's completely solid. This thing, I bought this when Home won the Champions League on YouTube last year. And it cost me like 25 quid off of Amazon, and it's really heavy. I'm going to put it down on the desk next to the microphone. I don't know if it will pick it up. It should do, but it's proper heavy. It is solid, absolutely solid, and it's awesome. A little miniature Champions League. So anyway, shall we get on with things? Because obviously all this talk of Twitch, I am live on Twitch again at 9 o'clock tonight, so we don't have an infinite amount of time. Undisputed Garage Champ, I like that. I can call myself the Garage Champion. I need to slip off my shoes. My feet are all swollen from sitting down too much. I need to do some standing up at some point. Oh, right, there we go. My watch is vibrating. Anna's getting very excited because The Last of Us 2 has been announced for the 19th of June. And I don't know if you can see, she's sent that to me multiple times because she's so excited. They're still coming through. She knows I'm streaming, but there's some breaking news for you. Last of Us 2 on PlayStation 4, 19th of June, if you're as excited for it as me and Anna are. But we are going to get into the Q&A. She needs to stop it. Anna, stop it. I'm trying to do a stream. My watch is just vibrating constantly. As ever, I have a cup of coffee in hand, and you have the time it takes me to drink that cup of coffee to ask as many questions as you would like on whatever topics you would like to ask about, and I will do my very best to answer as many of them as I possibly can in the time allowed. Because we are so deep into these now, these daily streams, sort of daily streams, I will try and avoid questions I've answered a lot. If they're really common questions, you could probably pick any of the other streams at random and find the answer to them. And I'll also prioritise questions that seem like they'll give the most interesting answers. If you have got a question, make sure you start it with @KevinChapman, because then I see it. I ignore all the messages that don't start with @KevinChapman because there's just too many of them. Anna is still sending through 19th of June to me. I'm going to have to take my watch off in a minute. How do you put an Apple Watch into Do Not Disturb? I've never had to do it before. Oh, my word. And of course, also, if you do want to jump the queue and guarantee you get your question answered, the way to do that is through Super Chat. I always promise to read out every Super Chat that comes in, answer every question that comes in via Super Chat, because if people are going to support me with Super Chats, I'm going to thank them by making sure they get to have their say. Right, let's jump into some of these questions. Why do I wear shoes around the house? Don't know. Why not? Is there a good reason not to? I can't think of a good reason not to. Yeah, just do. Don't wear slippers. We don't have carpets, so it's not like we're treading stuff into the carpets. I think that's part of the reason, because we've got the laminate flooring everywhere. The floor's cold, so I don't like slippers. Generally, I can't find slippers big enough for my enormous size 13 feet. And my feet get cold on the cold floor all over the house. The only rooms that have got any carpet in are the bedrooms and like the stairs and the landing. Everywhere else is cold floors. So I just wear shoes. I tend to wear different shoes in the house to what I wear when I'm out and about. These are effectively slippers. These are my Vans that I just wear around the house. I tend not to wear them when I'm out anywhere. So I guess they're kind of slippers, but they are shoes. Kevin Randall, thank you very much for becoming a channel member at the gold tier. Thank you very much. Am I going to try a squat challenge? Gets the lower legs pumping. I'm not going to try a squat challenge. I can't squat with my knees. It really hurts. Advice on starting YouTube. Just start making videos and get better as you go. That's the key. Just get started. Get started today and then do it every day forever. That's what I did. Damien Hills, thanks very much for the super chat. Congratulations to King of the FM streamers. Hope Ben is recovering well. I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure he'll be already plotting his revenge. I'm surprised I haven't had any messages along the lines of, yeah, but you still didn't beat me. Because I didn't. Played him three matches in that tournament. He won one. We drew the other two, and then I beat him on penalties. So he was the only person in the tournament to beat me at any point. So I wouldn't be against a rematch at some point to try and make it a little bit more of a... I imagine we'll face off again in Season 2. I'm sure we will. Who is my favourite villager in Animal Crossing? I don't really have a favourite villager. I don't interact hugely with the villagers. I just kind of like to do my own thing, much like in real life. I don't do a lot with the villagers. If there's a task to go and talk to X amount of villagers, I'll go and do it, but I'm not exactly hanging out with the villagers all day long. Hey, Kev, any idea what's been happening with the internet in the UK today? Probably similar to what was... I think it started last night, because anyone who was watching my Twitch stream last night, it was dropping constantly. My Twitch stream last night must have dropped 8 or 9 times over the course of the 3 or 4 hours I was streaming. And every time I did a speed check or a connection test or anything like that, I was still getting good speeds and everything seemed to be working, but for whatever reason, it just wasn't holding a connection to Twitch. So I just think the root cause of it all will be everyone's at home. And because of that, the domestic lines are getting far more use than they usually do. And it's just the networks are being overloaded, and that's what it is. And I think they're restricting access to certain entertainment sites without telling us. Because for me to connect to YouTube or Twitch, it's much slower and much more difficult to do that than it is to pretty much any other website. And I would imagine Netflix is probably on that list as well. Anywhere that people go to for entertainment, I imagine, is being throttled in some way secretly. That's my conspiracy theory of the day. Keith Watson, thanks for the super chat. How are you and the family? We're good, thank you. Congratulations on your FM20 win. How's Andy doing with school? Plus, congratulations on the YouTube Silver Award. Thank you very much. Those of you who don't follow me on Instagram or Twitter might not have seen. I was finally invited to order my silver play button today, so got that ordered immediately. That should be with me within a couple of weeks, and I will absolutely be showing it off to you when it arrives. So yeah, it's been a very good couple of days. Won the FM20 thing, got my silver play button ready. It's all good, and we're all good. Andy's enjoying being back at school. We've had no signs of anxiety or meltdown or anything like that for over a week now. It's night and day from when he was at home. It's made such a big difference. So yeah, lots of positives. I'm buzzing. I'm feeling really positive at the moment. We're a long way away from where we were 2 weeks ago. Daniel Blackburn, thanks for the super chat. Hi, if you swipe up on the watch screen, you'll see a moon, and that puts it on Do Not Disturb. Excellent. She has stopped sending the messages. Oh, I see that, yeah. I'll bear that in mind for future, because that was crazy. It was just... I suppose you couldn't hear it coming through the microphone. But thank you. That is an excellent tip on how to use the watch that I've now had for over 6 months and probably do need to learn to use at some point. What do you think about some American states reopening when their deaths aren't going down? It's so difficult because it's such a touchy issue. We're getting close to it being an issue that I'm going to stop talking about on the internet, because similar to how I never made comment on Brexit, I never make comment on politics or religion. We are getting to the point where answers to these questions fall into what your fundamental beliefs as a human being are. And it then does go back to politics and religion and that kind of stuff. And it becomes one of those arguments where no side will ever change the mind of the other side. Because, and as ever, I'm kind of fence sitting on it, because I can see both sides of it. I can see that obviously while there is still danger of people dying, you need to be social distancing. You need to be trying to avoid people dying. But at the same time, Poverty kills, homelessness kills, businesses going out of business kills. Not necessarily as many in the immediate short term, but in the long term, the death toll could be just as high from people losing their livelihoods. And it's a very difficult thing to work out when the best time to do stuff is. And I know the party line in the UK so far has been we're following the medical advice, but I think there also has to come a point where you're not just listening to the medical advice, and you also have to balance it out with everything else as well. And I know the counter argument to that, and I completely get it. The counter argument is people's lives are more important than money, and yes, of course they are in an ideal world, but we don't live in an ideal world. We live in a world where people have to work, so they have to have businesses they can work for or businesses that they own. People have to live somewhere, so they have to be able to pay their rent or pay their mortgage. And if everything remains shut down for months or years or however long it takes to be completely safe, I mean, it might be years before it would be 100% safe to go back to normal. But the world couldn't survive years of social distancing and quarantine, because the economy would crumble, businesses would fail, governments would fall. It would be a disaster. So that's a very long-winded way to a question. I mean, I haven't really answered the question even. And I think it's my long-winded way of saying there's lots of positives and negatives to both sides of it. And I'm not an expert, so I don't think I'm going to have my say. I think I'll identify the pros and cons of each, and then hopefully be just smart enough to understand that I'm too dumb to make the decision, and have to put my trust in those who are making the decisions doing it right, and try and blinker myself from the fact that obviously that's not quite how politics works. But that's a discussion and an argument for another day and another platform. What should I do? I'm extremely bored in lockdown. Watch all my videos. I've got thousands of hours of videos across multiple platforms and genres. If you've done all that, learn a new skill. That would be my... If I had any free time at the moment, I would be learning French, or I'd be learning the piano, or, I'd be learning to draw. I would just pick a skill that I've always quite fancied but never had time to do, and I would just learn it. I don't have the time at the moment because I'm busier than ever. But if you are bored, just take up a new hobby, learn a new skill. Tips for year 12s. It's another very difficult area, isn't it? All you can do, it's the same recommendations I've been giving since the start, but it becomes harder and harder to follow as time goes on. But all you can do is try and stay in communication with your teachers, take their guidance as to what you should be doing, and set yourself a timetable for home that allows you to commit as much time to learning at home as you would be spending learning if you were at school. So when you go back, you're not too far behind. That's all I can recommend. That's all I can recommend. Do I like Lego? I like the idea of Lego, but I'm not patient enough to actually commit to it. I used to like it as a kid, Technic Lego more than just blocks, because I liked the science of it and the mechanics of it and stuff. I'm not creative enough in that way to just get a big box of bricks and make something out of it. I always had to have the instructions to follow, or I'd get frustrated. It's one of the reasons why, although I was quite good at drawing as a kid, I stopped quite young and can't really draw now. But I used to get frustrated if my drawings weren't perfect. I'd get frustrated and not want to do them anymore. And I was the same when I built stuff out of Lego. If it didn't come out exactly the way I planned, then I'd get frustrated and want to stop. And I wasn't really interested in solving the problem or improving it or fixing it. Tips on year 11. I mean, if you're in year 11, you just need to wait and see what grades you get. And hopefully you've already got plans for next year. Your grades will come through at some point. You probably already have a good idea of what grades you're going to get, because you'll know roughly what level you've been working at and what your predicted grade was at your last reporting cycle. So I would imagine your grades won't be too far from that. If that's good enough to get you into college or into sixth form, or whatever you're planning on doing next, then great. Just start preparing for that. But again, staying in contact with your teachers. They should all be available by email. Ask them what they think you should be doing. Don't just sit at home playing Grand Theft Auto or whatever teenagers do these days. Do I think Val Venus should be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? That's Joel Morris. Thank you for the super chat. My question would be, on what basis? He was just a pretty, even for the time, a pretty culturally insensitive gimmick that I don't remember having much substance behind it. When he became Chief Morley, I don't remember him being any good. Yeah, no, probably not. Because there's a whole load of terrible gimmicks from the Attitude Era that I wouldn't want to see in the Hall of Fame, just because I don't want to encourage terrible gimmicks. You'll be putting Eugene in next. How would I feel on Andy's last day of high school? Depends what we've got arranged for him to do next. Either really happy and proud or terrified, depending on what we know he's going on to do afterwards. Luckily, it's a long way away yet. How do I start a positive moving YouTube channel? I'm not sure what you mean. What, like a YouTube channel that's growing? That's kind of that. Without wanting to get into a lecture, that's already kind of the wrong mindset for it. It's difficult to make a success of YouTube if you go into it focusing on the numbers and the money and the sub count and the view count and all that kind of stuff. You kind of just have to, certainly in the early days, just do it because you love doing it and try to get better at it because you want to get better at it, and have it be a matter of like personal pride, the quality of your own videos and the enjoyment you get out of doing it. And then if you start to see some stuff happen, at that point you can make a decision whether you want to leave it as a hobby or start pushing it then. But I don't think you can take a channel from nothing and start pushing it without an existing platform. I think you have to put the groundwork in first. You have to build the foundation before you can erect a house on it. There you go. Let's use analogies. Is that what an analogy is? It's a long time since I did any kind of English. Would I like FM21 to be real life and in career mode, where if you had to learn your trade at lower league club or a big club? No. Just leave it as it is. All that other stuff would just be gimmicky nonsense that people think they'd like the idea of, but then would use once and then never again. It would be like the journey in FIFA. Everyone was so excited when they put the journey in FIFA. Do you remember how excited everyone was about the journey? And then we all played it and realised it wasn't very long, it wasn't very good. There was no replay value on it, and then we all just went back to playing Ultimate Team in career mode for the rest of that FIFA. And then when they brought the Journey Season 2 out the next year, we were like, really? We're doing this again? And now it's not even in FIFA. What, 3 years later? I think that's where all these Football Manager gimmicks would go as well. There's just no point. Right. Would I ever do a tips video for streaming, e.g. do's and don'ts? See, I probably wouldn't do it as a video because I don't think many people would watch it. And they're the kind of decisions I have to make when putting together a video. It's certainly something we can talk about as part of streams like this one. But, I mean, there's not much to it, really. Streaming's relatively straightforward. Just be yourself. Because if you, to a certain extent, if you're making YouTube videos, you can put on a character and act and edit out the bits that don't quite go your way. When you're streaming, people see everything and they'll see through you if you're being fake. So you just have to be yourself and hope that that's engaging enough for people to want to watch what you've got to say. That's it, really. I mean, there's all the basics like try not to cough into the microphone, make sure you've got decent camera, decent lighting, all that kind of stuff. But none of that's really important. It's about the content. And that just comes down to how interesting you are as a person and how clearly you can speak and how well you speak. And if you can can you see yourself talking for half an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours straight? If so, streaming might be for you. Thanks for the super chat again, Joel. Is Andy still doing Jumpstart Johnny? He is. He does it as soon as he gets home from school every day. Jumpstart Johnny goes on. So yeah, he did it straight away. Got in today. Jumpstart Johnny straight on. He's not making new videos or streams at the moment, which is Andy doesn't care, but it's frustrating for us because we're rewatching the same ones over and over again. I wish he'd do some more. But yeah, he's got like 8 or 9 of them on his channel that all came out just before Easter. And Andy just rewatches them. Do you know anyone with coronavirus, or has it affected me much? Well, I mean, I've obviously not been tested, but I'm pretty sure me and Anna both had it. Lucy had it. Her mum had it. I'm pretty sure we've all had it. We'll know more once antibody testing becomes a thing. And yeah, it affected me in so much as I couldn't work for a week. So that's why there were no streams for 4 or 5 days. Football Manager content disappeared for a little while. That's the main way it's affected us. There was the annoyance of not being able to go to the shops and stuff and not leave the house at all. But thankfully, none of us got really, really seriously ill. And hopefully, we now have a little bit of immunity to it going forward. What wrestling shows have I been to? I went to a Raw at the O2. I've been to a few New Japan shows. I've been to a few indie shows around the UK. That's about it. I've not been to loads of wrestling shows. What's my favourite milkshake flavour? Banana, chocolate, strawberry or vanilla? None of the above. Peanut butter and bacon from Five Guys. Don't knock it till you've tried it. Peanut butter milkshakes in general are really nice, but they'll add little crunched up bits of bacon to any milkshake at Five Guys. I've only ever had it once because I know if I have it a second time, it will be the death of me. But that one time, having that one milkshake, it was exceptional. Peanut butter and bacon. My 100k plaque will be here within 2 or 3 weeks, apparently. What equipment did I use early on? What for YouTube? When I first started YouTube, if you go all the way back, it's not even on this channel. If you go back to my main channel, lollujo, my gaming channel, and watch my very first videos on there, literally all I had was the MacBook Air that I already owned. Any laptop would have done. It just happened to be a MacBook Air. And a Logitech headset. No camera, no microphone, just a microphone that was built into the headset. And I just used what I had. And then gradually over time, I upgraded and upgraded and upgraded. But if you're not doing gaming, if you're doing more vlog-based stuff and you have a smartphone, you already have everything you need to get started on YouTube. Just use your phone. Use your phone for your first 100 videos. Phones are great now. You could get if someone really committed themselves to it, you could get a channel to the size of this one with just a mobile phone. You don't need anything else. People don't subscribe to my channel because I've got a £2,000 camera setup. They subscribe because they like the content, and they'd still like the content if I was using my phone to record it. I just am a nerdy perfectionist. Flame Shadows, thank you very much for the super chat. I'm amazed you know Kettering. How? Because I live in Peterborough, so Kettering is not very far away. I have to kind of drive past Kettering every time I go to Birmingham, and I go to Birmingham quite a lot. And when I was working in an estate agency, I'd occasionally pop over to Kettering for various bits and pieces. Plus, Wicksteed Park. I used to go there all the time as a kid. It was like our nearest theme park. Yes, Andy tried the SodaStream Dr. Pepper. He likes it. He refuses to acknowledge it's not real Dr. Pepper. So yeah, he likes it. I prefer Cooler Master to Logitech. I think Logitech is a little overpriced personally. I mean, I don't have a dog in that fight. I just had a Logitech headset, so that's what I used. I also have a Logitech webcam now, a Logitech Brio. Read my super chat. I just did that. I think the chat might be a little bit behind. Does it matter what mic you need? When you're starting out, you don't need a mic. Just use your phone. Seriously, just use your phone. And then if you get to the point where you want to improve, then look into getting a mic. And you can get mics that you can just plug into your phone. And you can literally just do stuff in small increments and work your way up. Would Andy not play Ring Fit Adventure on Switch? He hasn't shown any interest in it, and it's been played around him a lot. What is yours, Andy and Anna's favourite places to visit and why? Disney for all of us, probably, because it was awesome. Is Anna sad about how university ended? She definitely is. Definitely. Jonathan Snock, or Snock. Yes, I did get the Amazon package. You absolute hero. He sent me some some apple tango, apple tango, which was my favourite drink as a kid, and I hadn't had it for years. I had a can of it earlier today, and it just tasted like childhood. It was amazing. I am intrigued as to how you even found my Amazon wish list, because I thought I deleted it from everywhere where it was. So I'm quite impressed that you managed to find it and get it sent to me. I appreciate it. Thank you. But I need to make sure I've removed that from everywhere, because I'm trying to discourage people sending stuff, because it always makes me feel guilty. But it did put a smile on my face, and I appreciate it. Thank you. It was, if you're hanging around for the Twitch stream afterwards, you'll probably see me drinking a can of it on my Twitch stream, because I've got a can cooling in the fridge now. I drank the one earlier. I was so excited I drank it warm, and I love apple tangy. The only thing is they don't do a diet version of it, so it's really sugary, and that's probably not for the best. But it's not like I'm going to make a habit of buying it. Stampy Longbow Vlogs, thank you very much for the super chat. Have I been to Monkey World? I almost said Monkey Island. Monkey World. I don't know what Monkey World is. Where is Monkey World? Yes, I've been to Liverpool. Does the UK have Chick-fil-A? Not as far as I know. It might be that there's like one in London that I've not stumbled across. Like there's a couple of Shake Shacks in London. There's a couple of Taco Bells scattered across the country. So we do have the odd one or two of these shops, these places. But I've never stumbled across a Chick-fil-A. Right, I think we are running out on questions that are starting with @KevinChapman, because they're the ones that I'm looking at. So if you have got a question, make sure you start it with @KevinChapman, because I can't read through all the ones that don't start like that. There's just too much for me to read through then. At least this way I can pick out the ones that are questions. And there's a couple of them that are being asked that I've literally just answered. So I wonder how far behind the chat is today. What keyboard and mouse do I use? Just a cheap ones off of Amazon. They're not even brands. I don't care, because I don't play games where that matters. I don't need fancy keyboards or mice or anything. I just have functional ones that are good enough for Football Manager, and pretty much any other game I ever play, I would use a controller. So I don't need fancy keyboard and mouse. Missing the seaside, so watching autistic vids. Are you planning on any day trips there? I mean, we can't plan on anything at the moment, can we? If lockdown gets lifted, then yes, we'll almost certainly. Have I been off the side of the camera this whole video? I've just noticed that. That's annoying. Has there been a black bar down the side of the screen all the way through that I've now just fixed? Yes, we will. We'll be going if we can, just like pretty much everywhere. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier. One of the first things that I'm going to do, if we get to the point where we're allowed to this year, is right. We're going to book into a Premier Inn somewhere where we like to go, Nottingham, Birmingham, wherever. Just go there, hang out for a few days, be out of the house. And while we're there, we're then going to buy Merlin passes, and then we're going to go somewhere. And I just don't want to be in the house for weeks after all this ends. I just want to go and do stuff and be places. Joe Balint Curty, thank you very much for the super chat. Would I ever move to London? I would love to move to London. We were planning on moving to London this year. But then all of this happened, and now it's not quite so realistic anymore. Anna's got a job interview later in the week that's for a job down in Hertfordshire. And at the time she was applying for all these jobs, like 2 months ago, stuff like that was quite realistic. And now we're looking at it, well, she'll do the interview, but there's every chance that she'll do the interview and might not be able to take the job if she's offered it, because I don't know how realistic moving to Hertfordshire is now because of how tight money has become with all this going on. So, yeah, we would love to move to London. It's definitely on the agenda. I would imagine this whole coronavirus thing has pushed it back 2 or 3 years, but a time will come where we live in London, definitely. Quite apart from anything else, there's so much more opportunity for me in the work that I do down there. The amount of stuff I get invited to that I have to turn down because it's in London and it's just not convenient to keep nipping down there. I would be doing a lot more cool stuff for the vlog if I was in London. And of course, that's a consideration to make as the kids get older, and the vlog has to become more and more and more Kev focused, because once the kids have all flown the nest, I still need to pay my bills. So I need a long-term strategy for keeping the channel interesting and entertaining. It doesn't just involve telling you what the family have been up to, because they won't be about very often 5 years down the line. Jonathan's in with the super chat again. Thank you again, and saying that's all right, you work hard. Thank you very much. Very kind. What is my tattoo? My tattoo is just a tribal thing that was near the door of the tattoo place when I walked in drunk as an 18-year-old. It has no meaning attached to it, and I'd love to have it covered, but it's a big black thing that covers most of my arm. So it's pretty hard to have it covered. Daniel says, what's the rationale behind ad rates dropping? It's as simple as businesses are closed at the moment. So, I mean, if a shop is closed, they're not going to run adverts on YouTube. If a restaurant is closed, they're not going to run adverts on YouTube. If a movie can't release, it's not going to run ads on YouTube. So there's far less companies running ads on YouTube at the moment, and because of that, it's all supply and demand. If there's more videos to place ads on than there are ads, then those ads don't need to pay as much to feature on the videos, so the price they pay can drop, and the number of ads we can get access to will drop because there's not enough advertising to go around, and all of it combined means that, yeah, the overall ad rate, like the actual amount we realistically get paid per thousand views of a video, is probably cut in half in the last 6 weeks, and it'll be like that until lockdown is lifted, because it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. There's less adverts to go around. What do I prefer, football or wrestling? Wrestling. Do I still buy/collect Funko Pops? I still collect them. I haven't bought one for a long time, but if I see cool ones, I'll buy them. I mean, I don't have anywhere to store them anymore. I'm pretty much at capacity, so I'm much more selective now about which ones I buy. But if I see some really cool ones, I'll buy them. Can we get an Andy lockdown routine? I mean, it's not really any different to normal routine. It feels a little bit like just rehashing old content, which I'm happy to take the money for, but it feels a little bit of a cop out, redoing something we've already done just to put lockdown in the title, which I know a lot of YouTubers have done stuff like that, but I like to think I've built a reputation for having a little bit more of a conscience than that, and like to, as much as possible, provide you with new content, and don't like to keep going over the same old stuff in slightly different ways just to get paid for it again. But like I say, if there's enough of if there's enough of a demand for it, we can do it, but it isn't going to be any different from his normal routine, really. Live stream with Lucy this week, maybe. It depends what her work schedule's like. Right, we are very close to being done, so I need to get my Twitch stream set up. I'm forcing my coffee down now. Any advice for cutting my own hair? I'm really worried about messing it up badly, but it really does need a cut. I mean, did you see mine after I cut it? You can't mess it up any worse than that. And if it does go really bad, just shave it all off. Who's going to see it when you're in lockdown? Now is the time. If you're ever going to experiment with cutting your own hair, now is the time. And if it goes wrong, just shave it all. I watched one of your Nottingham videos and saw that you went to Green's Windmill, and I got kind of excited because I live around the corner from there. That's Anna and Andy used to live just around the corner from there as well, in Stenton. And that's where they lived before they moved over here. What's my favourite Gusto meal? I don't really have one. I like them all. How easy was it to get the kids used to being on camera? I mean, all kids are used to being on camera these days, aren't they? I don't think it was any different. Parents have forever got their... I mean, parents have their phones in the faces of babies. Kids these days have grown up with their entire life being documented and filmed. Just because it's not going on YouTube doesn't mean it's not being filmed. So to them, I don't think it was ever anything unusual. It was just, rather than pointing a phone at them, I was pointing a camera at them. But it's the same principle. I'm filming what they're doing, and they were just used to it because it's something that's always gone on, just like everybody else. You should use a drone more. The law would say I shouldn't because I don't have a license for it, for a start. And plus there's very few places I can legally fly it. So I have 2 drones, but I just prefer to not mess around with them. Plus, again, I bought them back when I was trying to emulate Casey Neistat style vlogs and not really understanding how and why he was using drone footage. And I would just put drone footage in. I'd say, here, let's have some drone footage. And eventually you learn as a creator by looking at your analytics to see when people turn off that most people couldn't care less about my stupid drone footage and don't want to see my stupid drone footage. And it's really just, there's no point in doing it. The benefit to it is to like change a scene, change a setting, change a location, show that you're somewhere different to where you normally are. But just flying a drone above my house for the sake of showing you my house from the sky, it's a bit rubbish, isn't it? Right, we're going to take the last mouthful. Coffee is gone. Final. We have to do final one question because I need to get Twitch set up. So I'm just going to pick out a final question. We've gone on a little bit longer than we normally would tonight anyway. let's try and pick out a good one from these ones that are on here. What would I do if I had 10 million subscribers in one day? What? So if I woke up tomorrow and had 10 million subscribers, I'd have the day off, I think. I think if I had 10 million subscribers, I wouldn't have to work anywhere near as hard as I do now. Because I would assume these subscribers are actually active subscribers and are watching my videos, rather than it just be, I mean, if it's just 10 million subscribers but the same people watching the videos and view numbers aren't up, it's pointless and worthless and I wouldn't care. But if I had the increase in views and the increase in income that came with 10 million subscribers, I would just do less. I'd work a normal 9 to 5 and just do it 5 days a week and take it easy a little bit and not push myself so hard. That's the dream, really. Get to the point. I want to work hard enough and grow the channels enough so that I don't have to work as hard in the future. But yeah, that's the long-term plan. I don't think I'm ever going to get 10 million subscribers on either channel. I think that's a pretty unrealistic expectation. I've been flogging this horse for a long time, and I don't think it's showing any signs of exponential growth at any point. But we are going to wrap that up there because, like I say, I do need to get my Twitch stream set up. I am going to be back here tomorrow at 8-ish. It's Tuesday, so it's a little bit more dependent on what time Andy goes to bed. It'll be with Amy. It'll be in the living room. It'll be with the dodgy webcam on my laptop. So, but we'll be back tomorrow. If you want to keep the conversation going, come over to Twitch. That stream will be live in like 10 minutes. Twitch.tv/lollujo. I'll see, hopefully, a few of you over there. Thank you to everyone who's joined me tonight. Thank you as well to the new channel members, to everyone who's got involved in Super Chat, that kind of stuff. Always massively appreciated. And I will see you all again very, very soon. Toodle pip, folks.